We begin with breaking news out of the US this morning, where a man has killed 10 people and injured at least 35 when he drove a pickup truck into a crowd in New Orleans. An Islamic State flag was found in the car and the FBI is investigating it as an act of terrorism. Witnesses described people running for cover, with police killing the driver, a US citizen, who they say was hell-bent on creating destruction.
US President Joe Biden has promised every resource will be available to the investigation, and Donald Trump has described it as an act of pure evil. North America correspondent Carrington Clark is following this developing story from Washington. He joins us now. Carrington, we have had an update on this investigation this morning. What's the latest?
Yeah, so the FBI has named the suspected terrorist as Shamsud-Din Jabbar. He is a 42-year-old American citizen from Texas. At around 3:15 a.m. local time, he has driven a vehicle, a ute, what appears to be a rented ute, into a large crowd who was celebrating New Year's Eve in the French Quarter of New Orleans. It's one of the major tourist hotspots, and there was understandably a large crowd to celebrate that special day. He has driven into that crowd, killing at least 10 people and injuring dozens more. Once he has driven into the crowd, he's then departed the vehicle. He was described as being dressed in full military attire and is then engaged in a shootout with 3 police officers, leaving 2 of them injured and leaving him deceased. Now, the FBI, importantly, has said that they do not believe that he acted alone. Now,
we are committed, no doubt, to uncovering all details surrounding this tragedy. And we're taking every necessary step to put even more safety procedures in place, especially given the nature of the investigation.
So that was the mayor of New Orleans there talking about the resources that are being deployed. As you can understand, this is both local, state and national law enforcement are involved in what seems to be a very complicated investigation at this point. It is still an active crime scene. Now, within that vehicle were found both a flag of the terrorist organisation Islamic State, but also at least 1 improvised explosive device, and it appears that multiple other improvised explosive devices have also been found at the scene. Now, part of the reason that police are looking for other associates is they're trying to work out how perhaps those IEDs were actually placed at the scene. They are making sure that there aren't other live threats to the community, but they have postponed an important football match that was due to take place today until tomorrow while they work to secure the entire area. But this has obviously left the community in New Orleans shaken, and the nation continues to watch to see whether or not there is a live threat. It has become a political issue. We have heard from President Joe Biden just brief comments saying that he was angry at the news. Donald Trump, the president-elect, weighed in very quickly on his social media platform, Truth Social, and seemed to tie the attack to immigration. As I said, though, the perpetrator in this instance is an American citizen, but this will be a major political issue in the coming days.
Carrington, just devastating news there. Thank you.
Now to news in Australia. Authorities have downgraded an emergency warning to watch and act level for a bushfire 45 kilometres east of Perth that's destroyed a home and injured a firefighter. The blaze has already destroyed sheds and other infrastructure, closed a major highway and came close to a men's prison. Reporter Ruby Littler has more.
Emergency services here have told us they're expecting the fire to continue to burn for several days. The conditions here at the lakes in Wallaroo and Watadding are pretty hot and windy, making it hard for firefighters to actively fight the blaze and control and secure containment lines. Now, the fire has burnt through 560 hectares of land and it's moving at a speed of around 2 kilometres an hour with over 100 firefighter crews out there battling that blaze. And you can really tell that here because you can see these big black plumes of smoke, and the smoke is quite dense. Now, the fire was burning quite close to Acacia Men's Prison. It's a privately run men's prison. It actually came up to 800 metres close to the facility, but DFS have told us that they are confident that the prison is safe and that they are actively securing those containment lines around that facility.
We're very confident the prison is defendable and safe at the moment. We have Korea appliances sitting with the Acacia prison at the moment. We do have liaison from Woolloomooloo prison in our incident management team just to keep them informed what's going on.
We also heard reports that a man had been injured in the bushfire. We now know that that was a firefighter who sustained minor injuries to his arm. He's now recovered and is back out fighting the blaze. There are, in fact, have been damage to properties. We can see from aerial vision that sheds and other infrastructure has been affected and destroyed in this bushfire, and we have reports that a home has also been lost. An evacuation centre has been set up for affected residents, and that is at the Northam Recreation Centre.
Let's take a look at what else is making news now. A watch and act warning is still in place for the South Burnett region in southeast Queensland, with authorities urging people to avoid the area because of the risk of flash flooding. Authorities say people in the affected area should shelter in a safe place until the floodwaters go down. More than 70 millimetres fell in Folding Hills, south of Biloela, in 2 hours yesterday, while further inland in the town of Augathella, that received 50 millimetres in an hour.
A woman has died while water tubing at a camping ground northwest of Brisbane on New Year's Eve. The 53-year-old fell into fast-moving water and didn't resurface. Emergency services were called to Emu Creek campgrounds near Colinton. Police say the death is not suspicious.
Australia's housing market is in a downturn for the first time in almost 2 years after the average national price of a property sold dipped slightly in December. While Sydney remains the most expensive place to buy, prices in Melbourne fell heavily in 2024 and it's been overtaken by Perth, Adelaide and Brisbane, which all saw significant growth. While there was some growth in the regions, it wasn't enough to offset the capitals, with the median value nationally dropping 0.1%.
Australia has just baked through its second warmest year since records began in 1910, with warnings more heat is on the way to start the new year. The Weather Bureau says the country's mean temperature, the average of all minimums and maximums, was only a small fraction below the 2019 record, with Perth recording its hottest year ever. The first week of 2025 will simply extend the run of warmth from December, including another heat wave for much of the country.
One person has died and 7 more have been injured after a Tesla Cybertruck caught fire and exploded outside President-elect Donald Trump's Las Vegas hotel. Local police are investigating, and Elon Musk says Tesla will post more information as soon as it learns anything.